This is the Unit 7 toolkit for Lucerna. I'm going to go over the graphing circles section of the toolkit here in this video, numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1a, they ask us to write the standard form of the equation of a circle, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. The h and the k, remember, give you the sensor, and the r stands for the radius. So in part B, I asked you to graph the equation below. We have to use this equation to get the center and the radius. The center will be the opposite of these two numbers. This gives you the x-coordinate. The opposite of minus 2 is positive 2. This gives you the y-coordinate with the y. Opposite of positive 2 is negative 2. The radius is the square root of that 25. The square root of 25 is 5. And then when we graph it, 2, negative 2, there's our center. From that point, we go in all four directions on the graph, 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. 5 left. And 5 down. Once you've got those 4 points, then we can draw as nice a circle as we can through those 4. Some people would like to use the compass for that. That's fine. There is your circle for part B. Moving on to number 2, now we're asked to write the equation given this information. Part A, we have a center at negative 12 and negative 5 and a diameter of 18. Now the center, this x coordinate negative 12 will go in with the x. It becomes plus 12, again changing the signs like last time. X plus 12 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals. Now there's a little trick here. They say diameter. Remember that the diameter on the circle is all the way across. We only want the radius. So if it's 18 all the way across, that means we have a radius of 9. So it becomes 9 squared, which gives you 81. I don't know what angels have to do with this particular video, but since it is opening day of Major League Baseball, I should probably note that the Angels will lose to the Mariners tonight when Felix Hernandez is pitching. And notice that the circle is like the halo of the Angels, and it's just, it just got destroyed. It's done. It's done. All right, moving on to important business. That was Mr. DuPont, by the way. Everyone, go to room 0103 and just throw something at him. That'd be good. Part B, the center at the origin and a radius of 12. The origin is the point 0, 0, which means we, unlike part A, we no longer have parentheses. We can just make it x squared. It'd be x plus 0 squared, but we can just get rid of those parentheses when we simplify it. So it becomes x squared plus y squared equals. Now the radius, last time we had to cut that diameter in half. The radius is already where we want it, so the radius is 2 squared, which gives us 4 in the equation. Then part C, now we're mixing it up with a 0 there. The 0 centers at 0, negative 3, diameter of 2. So the x-coordinate would have no parentheses. It would be just x squared plus. Now the y is going to have the opposite of that minus 3 becomes plus 3 squared equals. And then diameter, like part A, diameter of 2 gets split up. So the circle, if we drew it all the way across, to be 2 units, which means it gets split up to 1 and 1. It's kind of a little happy face there. And then the 1 is your radius, which means it's 1 squared, which gives you just 1 in that equation. 2 more in this video. Number 3. We have to write the equation in the standard form and then graph the result below. They give us this long equation, which we want to look, oh, for crying out loud, just get out of here. Which we want to look like this standard form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the equation here. I'm going to show the work here because we have quite a few steps to do this. X squared plus y squared minus 6x minus 12y plus 41 equals 0. This process, remember, is called completing the square, where we have to keep the x's together, x squared minus 6x plus blank, And then we have to move everything else over. We're going to keep the y's together also, so we're going to group the y's together. Plus y squared minus 12y plus blank equals. Now on the other side with the 0, we want that constant term, that number, we want to move that over. So it's minus 41 on both sides, which makes it negative 41. And since I threw in these plus blanks, one for the x's, one for the y's, I have to do the same thing on this other side, plus blank, plus blank. Now remember when we factored, the pattern was that all these parentheses were exactly the same. They're all, in this case, going to start with x. And to get this number, we had to take this minus 6 and cut it in half, which gives us minus 3. So all of these are going to be x minus 3. To get the blank, we're multiplying these. These multiplied with each other gives us positive 9, which means this first blank over here is positive 9. We're going to do the same thing with the y's. 3 sets parentheses. I'm going to put the plus down there at the bottom. Y. Then that minus 12 gets split up, becomes minus 6. Half of the minus 12 is minus 6. And then we take the minus 6 and multiply it by itself. Positive 36. Positive 36. And then on this side, now this side is almost exactly where we want. This is the equation we want. This now gives us our center. This will give us our radius. When we combine all these, 36 plus 9 is 45, minus 41 gives us positive 4. So our equation, after all that work, if I go back to my worksheet, after all that work, the equation we got is x minus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 4. And you should have room on the test to be able to show all that work. I just didn't have a ton of room here. Oh, I should have written it down here. X minus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 4. So now I've got my equation. My center, opposite of these numbers, gives me a positive 3 for the x-coordinate, positive 6 for the y. The radius, the square root of 4 is 2. 3 and 6 is there. Radius of 2 all the way around. And there is my graph of my circle in number 3. Our last one, multiple choice, number 4. What point lies on the circle with the equation x minus 3 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 25? I have to choose, take all these 4, I have to test them one at a time by plugging in these coordinates and seeing which one works out to be exactly 25. Now if I plug in the zeros, that just becomes negative 3 squared. I'm plugging into the x first, 0 into this x, plus, then 0 into this y, that becomes 0 plus 3, or 3 squared, equals 25. This squared is 9, this squared is 9. 9 plus 9 is 18, which does not work, so it's not option A. Option B, plug in the 0, becomes negative 3 squared plus, then plug in negative 7 to the y. Negative 7 plus 3 squared equals 25. I'm going to keep this negative 3 squared. Negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4 squared. That squared is 9, that squared is 16, and look at what happens. These add up to 25, which means yes, that is on the circle. So B would be correct. Now, if it said choose all that apply, I'd have to keep going. I'd have to check these other ones as well. But since it doesn't, actually, I can actually stop here. This is the one point of these 4 that does work.